Okay, we are at 9 o'clock and we will be meeting a special meeting of the County Board of Equalization. I will ask everybody present that we will do the Pledge of Allegiance first.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you and welcome everybody to the July 18th Board of Equalization meeting. Roll call please, sorry.
Brooks.
Present.
Fair.
Present.
Ziegler.
Present.
Sykes.
Present.
And Overmeyer.
Present. Open meetings law is posted on the south side of our chambers, is on the wall outside of our chambers, also on the website. Proof of publication was in the newspaper July 8th and also on our website. Next up, we need to review and approve the minutes of the July 11th Board of Equalization meeting.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Fair.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Ziegler.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
And Overmeyer.
Yes. And next up, we need to adopt the agenda for today.
Move to adopt. Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Brooks.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
Ziegler.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Overmeyer.
Yes. Okay, today we are holding property tax valuation protest hearings. And as everybody is showing up, we did not give times for this, so we're going to go as you showed up. And so the first one up, Kurt, do you have anything to say before you get going? Nope. First one up, Judy. And this would be Mr. Dukes. I believe it was number 45. Judy, we're going to ask you to give name and address for the record, and then Kelly will have something for you too, please.
Judy Roney, home address or address?
Address.
119 East 6th Shore,
Thank you.
Nebraska.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Judy, the floor is yours.
Okay, I want to start with my journey to get here. I went to the meeting on Saturday, and we covered a lot of my concerns. I was told things would be changed, and I actually had a doctor's appointment for today, and it's like, after things are changed, do I really need to show up for this? Well, no, probably not. They basically said they were going to change the value. And called Monday. They didn't quite remember the changes we had talked about. And I went and talked to Randy a little bit because I was frustrated. And then I came over to the courthouse and I asked for the documentation of the changes and the concerns we went over. They could not provide it to me. Then I asked for the documentation of the notes from the guy that walked through my building. I was denied that too. And then as an employee came up, it wasn't him, and I asked some more questions, and she told me that if I didn't stop, she was going to add more square footage. Very much upset me. So I spent last night going through some records, and what she talked about adding, no other building in this downtown area, or very few even have. And so I don't like being threatened. And then I asked another question, and I was snappily told by this employee also that, oh, Ann just did that to please you, which is not true, because I went back through all the records of all the other buildings, and they were coded, with one story too, even if they had two. So I'm going to start with that. Not happy. I want everyone in this town to be treated equally, fairly, and taxed equally. So my first comparable I'm going to bring up, and I'll explain to you why I have these comparables, is Mr. Dukes. They changed the value by over $30,000. I've asked several people to explain to me why you're doing over a 30% increase. Just the way it is. That's what the computer says. But there's so many errors in the computer. I mean, I don't even know where to start. One thing, they added the basement in and they added it in as retail space. My basement is not retail space. My basement still has sandstone walls. It is not. And that was agreed on Saturday, that was to be removed. It has not been removed. And if you look at other buildings that have basements, which I don't know if Goodwill does or not, so Randy would know that. But Renegades does. The basement is a zero. It even has an elevator that goes to it. I've been in it. Trading Post does. It's a zero. Why is my building being put in at $89,000 for the basement when comparable buildings are being put in at zero? And why did that get changed recently? Another thing is, on my building, if I do updates, I pull my building permits. I do the right thing. I'm sure, because I know the man, Randy pulled his building permits. They didn't list on his property for the person sent in Lincoln to look at, but they list them on my property. My property is the only property that's had updates that I'm bringing up today that they listed on the paperwork, the building permit and the amount. So that's kind of a bias, in my opinion. Stories, Goodwill is listed as 1 story. You can look at the pictures. It's 2 stories. Wagner's has 2 stories. Renegades has 2 stories. Trading Post has 2 stories. You can go into all these and they're all listed as 1. But I was threatened if I came here today, mine would be changed to 2. That is not right. And you were there. You know that happened. You know Tammy said it. So I don't know what else to say. I mean, my basement's wrong. The square footage stuff isn't right. I was told I couldn't use my comparable yesterday, which why can't I use a comparable? If they're being taxed at that, why can I not use that comparable? There are so many errors on every single building in downtown York, and I can keep fighting for mine, but right now I'm fighting for everyone, and I'm gonna tell you, none of these increases should be happening. Your paperwork is wrong. And if you can't treat everyone equally, then you should drop all of them for this year till you can get your house in order. And I'll use my #1 comparable, Wagner's. They have over 7,206 square retail space they're using. This isn't storage space, that's just retail. They have it in at 2,000. They are being taxed at 89,120. They are considered a low grade. If you have been in their building and you have been in my building, you will know that their building is a lot newer. It is 72 years newer than my building. But the courthouse has the year my building was built wrong. They have it in as 1960. I had to go to Nancy Beach, have her look up records to prove it was here in 1885. I don't know the exact year it was built, but we can prove it was here in 1885 in the form it's at. And why is Wagner's rated at poor condition? And why is Trading Post rated at poor condition, very poor condition? And I'm rated at normal or excellent, and my basement's rated as retail, when it's not even retail. It's not even in the condition to be retail. So that's pretty much what I have to say. I could go on, I have a lot of notes because I spent a lot of time on this last night. But my biggest thing is you guys need to get your house in order. It is not fair to tax people different. And then when you come and talk and you ask for the records, you get told you can't have them. So do I have to do a FOIA? Because I let the guy walk through my building. And Saturday when we were talking, they were telling me, oh, this, and this. And I said, I let the guy walk through my building. We agreed on stuff. We agreed the basement wasn't retail space and it wasn't finished. It was still the sandstone walls. He went upstairs, and the main reason why I bought the building was the guy before was letting the roof leak. And I wanted to take care of downtown York. I knew I would never make money on the building. It was a community service project. I wanted to do something good for York. And he had that all in there. It cannot be used as warehouse space at this present time. You know, it needs work done to it. They kind of argued with me, and then the gentleman, I don't know his name, from Lincoln, was flipping through things, and he goes, oh, here's my son-in-law notes. And it was all there. And I go, that's almost word for word what I just told you. And he said, yes. Well, I asked for a copy of those notes to bring here today, and I was denied. So it's kind of hard to represent things when you're denied the proper paperwork to represent what you're wanting to represent. But he should have to supply those notes to you, and they're handwritten. They will verify the condition of the basement. They will verify the condition of the upstairs. And this being told to me, they're gonna add more stories to my building. They better go around and do it to the ones that have apartment buildings upstairs before they do it to the ones that aren't usable. Any questions for me?
I don't have one for you. The question I have is the NML stands for condition, NML.
Oh, on the
Normal.
property record card, and then normal.
Just, and the ML, just so it's just normal,
Mhm.
normal condition.
And then if you look at like Trading Post or you look at Wagner's, you'll see theirs is not abnormal. Traded below that.
I don't think we can shut that.
No.
If we want to tell, we might have to tell Cal,
Wait, ask Cal.
yeah, ask him to hold up for a while, want to make his day. Comparable wise, as being a downtown business owner, I went around and obviously looked at all of them too, across the board. I do agree there's some cleanup that needs to be done, but, for instance, you brought up one of my buildings, and my building doesn't have a second story. It has windows up there, but it's not a second story, it's just open rafters. And we are almost neck and neck comparable, dollar wise. So this board has to look at the dollars and how it's equalized dollar wise, how they've done their job, and, mine's listed as normal conditions, so I would agree with that also.
You have 985 more square feet and you're valued less than me.
Yeah, 51, I think I'm at, or something like that.
Yeah, and the actual retail space, because they're doing it by retail space, and my building's 3,393 because that back area is not.
Yeah, so the back third of mine is not either retail space,
But
so.
my main one that I want to compare it to is Wagner's. I would like an explanation why Wagner's is only at 89,120. I would like another $500 given to my business this year, and I'm told, well, maybe we'll fix it next year. Well, that's unfair to the other business owners this year. You need to match. It needs to be fair taxation.
Yes, and obviously,
And so yours needs to be lower too, Randy. I'll be honest, it needs to be fair taxation.
well, I'm not sure if that is, I don't have a basement, you do, now granted, it's not finished, but I don't have a basement, I don't have a second floor, you do, and I understand it's not finished, but you still have
But
it.
if you go around to Trading Post, Renegades, you go around to all these buildings, they're putting 0 in for the basement. They have basements. Some of them are in better shape than mine. They have elevators to them. They are not putting anything in for the upstairs. So I think the basement and the upstairs outside of mine's getting a value put in it is, it's not even fair. And then to go back to it, they came up with a number they wanted to appraise my building at. And no matter what, that's what they're gonna appraise it at. Because I've pointed out error after error after error that they've had on my building. And they've told me, oh, we're gonna change that. But as of yesterday, they couldn't give me an updated change for it. And even Tammy said, oh, well, that was supposed to be put in as poor. Even the year it was built is not correct. And, and she told me straight out, she goes, we won't change the valuation of your building. And I'm like, but you have all these errors, and I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here asking for paperwork. And more than the value of my building, I am very angry at how I was treated, and that people do not realize that it's the people of this county pay their wages. And they are not better than us. They should not be arrogant, and they should not tell us we have no right to information to come into this meeting for. Well, Any more questions?
No, I don't
Okay.
have any more. Not of you, at least. Does anybody have any questions of Judy before?
Well, just as I understand the equalization process, you're doing exactly what needs to be done, and you're saying, look at this property, this property, this property, and making comparisons that way. So I guess that behooves us to look at those comparisons.
And I would like the year my building was built corrected. And I would like the value for the basement taken out, because they're not valuing other people's basements. And I don't want to be threatened they're going to add stories, when they're not even adding stories for buildings that have apartments upstairs. Those are probably my key points. And the places I mentioned, you can look at their records and you can see it. It's a little hard to find, but there's a little square over to the side that kind of breaks down. And then if you're going to value Wagner's at poor condition this year, I would like mine valued at poor condition, because I can guarantee you their building is 72 years newer. Swazer's was in there. It's a very extremely nice building. And the square footage they're being valued at isn't correct either.
So the record shows that it's a 1960 building. What year did you say yours was?
1885. And I gave them proof of it at the time by, I'll see if I have another copy, because I've been handing them out. I use the Sands records, and these were given to me, which shows that the building was here in 1885. This one shows it was here in 1915. This shows it was there in 1909. The 1885 I gave to those guys, and I don't have another copy with me right now. Let me see.
Any other questions?
Here's an 1892 one, if you guys want to look at them, to see the building was there. And if you look at any of the postcards with dirt roads, you'll see it.
Kurt, on on Judy's building, is the basement being added into that?
Kurt Mulgren, York County Assessor. As far as the building, when Ms. Roney brought her concerns to us, when we correct the condition of the basement, so change it from a retail to a unfinished basement, that lowers my calculations, that lowers the value of her improvement to $58,509. Also in our records though, it had her building listed as a one-story building. So when I factor that in, it actually raises the value of her buildings to $92,714, which is $2,000 over what our commercial appraiser suggested, recommended that her building be appraised at. So my recommendation to you is to not make any changes to the value that I sent out. While in the certified file, it's going to show the age of her building is 1960. In my working file, we've updated the age of the building, we've updated the condition of the basement, and we've updated the second story. I can't go in and change stuff in certified unless I'm told by the Board of Equalization or by Turk, because after March 19th, I can't change the values because state law prohibits me from doing that.
Okay.
Unless you guys tell me.
Okay. So then, as we're looking at comparables and we look at stuff like that, the other buildings that Judy is mentioning, are those other buildings, is their basements amended? And I mean, have we found those errors? Or
She just brought them to us here this Saturday and yesterday. Haven't had time to look at those too much yet. We're looking into the Wagner property. When you pull up their values in override, so it looks like they're getting billed, in our system, let me bring it up here. They have a value of 89,000 that's in override. So if you took theirs off of override, it would be lower. Let's see here. There's the assessed value, then there's the values that we have in override. The commercial values are received from the appraiser we put into override. So yes, their total assessed value per our system is 71,000. Their values in override's 89.
What can-
And she did bring up some questions about the square footage, and we're looking into why that's not calculating in our system. Why there's less square footage. It shows a basement square feet for the Wagner building at 5,400 square feet. But but for whatever reason, it just shows like 2,160 that's we think is just being assessed value to. And we've called into our CAMA system to figure out why.
Okay, so the buildings like that we have downtown, is there a dollar figure put on per every square foot?
You probably figure it up per square foot. Like, is yours per square foot the same as Mrs.
Right,
Roney's?
that's-
That I don't know that one for sure.
Okay,
I think they go into each parcel and they check it out, and they do their inspection, and like you said, your back half isn't retail, your front half is,
back third, yes.
back third, so they take that into consideration.
Okay, so the last question I have for you is the downtown, just like the residential, the commercial is to be valued at 99 or 98 to 100% of fair market value.
Yep.
And obviously, it's hard to come up with a fair market value because we don't see a lot of buildings sell
No.
downtown. So do they use anything else to come up with that?
They use lease agreements, rentals, any income generated. You can use that when you have a commercial property, the income approach.
Okay,
Can I address something with that? If we go to the Trading Post, their basement is in at 0, mine's in at like 89,000. They have rentals upstairs. They're only in as 1 story. They have a beauty shop back behind, and they're valued at 150, but you take in, they have rentals upstairs, and they have a beauty shop back behind. But the key thing is, why is my basement in at 80-some thousand, and everyone else's is in at 0?
when you say your basement is in at 80-some thousand, but your overall value is 100,
Or at, yeah.
So that
They have this thing, and I'll see if I can find it quick, to get spiel out of paperwork. And it does help figure out how they're gonna charge you. Well, just answer the question. Do you have a value in for my basement?
Yeah, this letter I gave you yesterday,
Which I ignored that because that wasn't what we talked about Saturday, so.
I recommend no change, Mr. Chairman.
okay?
Do you have a value in for my basement?
Yes, when I calculated, when I change your basement, it would be the difference, there was a difference from there, whatever the difference between 90 to 58 was. Take that 58 minus that 90, that was the difference from.
But why do we have values in for some basements and we don't all the others?
I don't know, I just took
And how
over
is
and
that, I understand that, this isn't to do with you. How is that fair taxation? That is not fair taxation.
And obviously, as you brought up, you brought these to their attention Saturday, and this is something that has to be looked into. And by Tuesday, obviously, it hasn't been looked into for you personally.
And I wasn't given the paperwork I needed to come here today. And I was told it cannot be changed for other buildings this year. So if it can't be changed for other buildings, it only can be changed for the ones that made protests, then remove it from mine. Treat us equal, treat us fair. And I don't think that's asking too much.
Okay.
And I think since she's brought these other buildings to our attention, we certainly need to look at them before the next assessment year.
And I
And if
agree.
I would appreciate you, that list of buildings that your comparables, so we can take a look at those.
Well, you can go through all of them downtown, and I mean, I've figured out how to do it. I would hope your help could figure out how to do it.
I have very good help, by the way, and I take exception to you disparaging them like that on public record.
Well, no, they don't chew me out in public,
Guys,
but.
I
we're
gotta
gonna
stick
we're gonna
up-
move on. Now, before
I
you
gotta
go,
stick up for my
Judy,
employees,
I
Mr.
understand.
Chairman.
before you go, Judy, obviously, this board isn't the last decision. You know, there's another step that's available, that's Turk, and that needs to be filed within 30 days if you so choose to file that paperwork. Am I right, 30 days? Isn't it 30 days from hearing date,
Yes,
I believe?
or from receiving notice, one of the two.
Okay.
We'll get that for you,
But I
Judy.
am asking the board today,
Yes,
since you cannot change others, change the ones that did the protest to match the others.
thank you.
Yep, thank you, have a good day.
Any other questions of Kurt as he's sitting here?
So the request was to move the overall value of that Duke's property to 72.8.
Right.
And Kurt, you're recommending a 101,516
Yeah, I think she's just requesting last year's value.
value.
So, and I'm requesting that it stay the same. And if there are problems with other retail businesses downtown, then yeah, we need to look at it. The Wagner property, I wouldn't use that as comparable because they don't have really what I would call a true second story. They have more of a mezzanine level. Or if I remember right, that's the old Schweizer's old JC Penney building down there. There was, when we were looking at that card yesterday, we agreed that in the office that there was, something wasn't right with that record card on our system. That said, the values put in for Wagner's were put in override, and that was based on the recommendations from our commercial appraiser.
And if you go back to the history of this particular one, you'll see that the value has been going up. You know, at least the sheet I have in front of me was 19, and then in 21 it did go to 118, and then was lowered to 71, and then has went back up again. So at one time it was obviously risen to that amount, and then lowered back down.
And one thing you're going to see with the commercial properties, and if you own commercial property down in your county, you're going to notice it too. This is it's been 7 years actually since our last commercial appraisal inspection. That's supposed to happen at least once every 6 years, just like ag and just like residential properties. So we're a year behind on that. And so you don't see, that's why you probably see some lack of increases over the years in changes of value. If you look at the prior years, this property, like Randy said, stayed around the lower 70s for a couple of years. There was a change in 21 for whatever reason. And that's going to be a common thing you're going to see here today with these protests. It's just the lack of change in evaluations over 4 or 5 years. So,
Can I ask you a question?
sure.
Did you say that that Wagner's building was built in 1960?
The Duke's building was listed on our system as 1960, and we have that changed to 1885. Changing that date in my CAMA system didn't affect the value of it, but let me look up that Wagner one for you.
Well, that used to be a swimming pool, city swimming pool in the basement of that building back in the early days. And it also was a air raid shelter. So the basement's been there for a long, long time.
1957 is the age we have on our system for that building.
Well, and I know, and I was born here in this town, that the swimming pool used to be in the basement of that YMCA swimming pool.
Oh, okay. We don't have a pool listed on their records.
I don't know anything about your records.
But no, 57 is the date we have on that one, so.
Any other questions? We will do these just like last week. We'll take them as they are here for the people that are here, and then we'll go from there on the rest of them that don't show
Well,
up.
I've got that down on as number 15, And on this paper, it's number 45, so we're just gonna be confused all the way through this because they don't match. This paper we got, this is number 45, her protest is number 45, and on mine there,
Well, the second number, you have to go by that second number, where it says 45.
all right,
If you plan on making a motion, then just use the name of the protest that was put down under,
and that says Ronin over there. When I push that button, it says Ronin.
Right, because I went off the papers that were given to me, and it didn't say Mr. Dukes, it said Judy.
And not matching.
Yeah, this one's tough to know. It's hard to, and we've heard an argument one way and we've heard an argument another way. And so it's hard to know what the right equal value would be on this property.
well, I guess the way I look at these and the way I'll take most of them will be, obviously there's gonna be errors.
Sure.
And that's a fact. But when I look and factor in that when we look at what these buildings are actually worth and being somebody that owns 3 of them downtown York, I got an idea of what I want out of them. And although I think that ours are getting right there to that 100%, I still think that, for instance, the ones I own, that they're spot on. That's why I'm not sitting on the other side and I'm sitting on this side. I think they're right there, and that's the value. Now, there could be some clerical errors that the assessor's office has to fix up and clean up, but that's the judgment that I am going by, is what is the buildings actually worth. We've been doing a good job in this town of cleaning up the buildings, and there was a lot of federal money involved in that, and some property owners' money, which helps them look better. It doesn't make the value go, or shouldn't make the value go up that term much. It changes the condition, but that's what I'm using for judgment.
And I think something else you gotta look at too, you can say what you're doing is a community service, but that's not a criteria used for property assessment. So, and this building also had a $30,000 permit for work done on the front of it. It's a beautiful looking building from the street now. It's amazing what these buildings look like when they pull those false fronts off them. So it's definitely an improvement to downtown.
Can I speak again? I'm talking fair taxation. Just because the records are wrong, it's not okay to take one building and put in a value for a basement. It's not okay to tell them, if you do a protest, we're gonna change it to 2 floors when even the buildings with 2 floors only have 1 floor. I'm wanting this community to do fair taxation and treat all people fair. It's not our fault you have errors, but you need to treat us the same as you would our neighbors.
What's your wishes, gentlemen?
Is this the same person that evaluated these buildings this time as it was last time? Same company that's worked with York before?
Standard appraisal.
Standard
And
appraisal?
I should point out, 2 years ago, they raised it, and then they went through with all these errors, and they lowered the value. And now we're back to that same number they had before that they had to lower because they were not doing it fairly or equally.
Oh, I'll say one more thing. We're gonna have to make a decision. You're not gonna like the decision probably, but as the chairman said, you have a right to challenge that in Turk Court. And if you don't challenge it, it'll stand. You understand that, obviously.
I do. And I'm, like I said, it's not so much the value. It's more this board is held responsible to treat everyone in this county fairly and equally. And just because your clerks have made errors, that's not our fault. And, I don't like being put in this position. I don't like it now that he doesn't like me. I do not like being put in this position. I do not like when I came to the courthouse trying to get records and I couldn't get them. I don't like the conversation I had there. That is not me. But there comes a point in time if nobody stands up for what's right, then everyone says, oh, this country's going to wherever. Well, that's because nobody has a backbone to say, let's treat everyone equally.
I'll make the motion, to try to move this on a little bit, because I don't think there's any new information that's gonna come in front of the board. That we accept the assessor's recommendation on Mr. Duke's LLC, the protest filed by Mark and Judy Roney. Do we have that in front of me? Okay, accepted. I don't have that sheet in front of me. There we go. Total being 101,516.
Well, I'll second it so that we can get a vote going.
Thank you, Jack. Is there any other discussion?
Kurt, there was something said about override at 89,000, is that accurate? Explain what that's.
That was on the Wagner property. And the values placed into override there were the ones that were given to us by the commercial appraiser. And that's the same with all the other commercial properties.
Okay. And the commercial appraiser gave us a value of 101 for this property then?
Yep, land 11,502, buildings 90,014, but for a total of 101,516.
And that was before the corrections have been put in. Could I ask the board to
Well,
please
no.
authorize him to do the corrections?
No. We got to take a vote here first, once the discussion. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Overmeyer,
Yes.
Sykes,
No.
Ziegler,
No.
Fair,
Yes.
and Gross.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
It is 30 days, Mr. Chairman.
It is 30 days from
Final decision.
the protest, so the protest hearings. Protest hearing date is 30 days from that date. You have
All
to turn,
decisions of the County Board of Equalization regarding protests may be appealed within 30 days of the final decision to the Tax Equalization Review Commission.
okay? And be aware that Turk has the right to go either down and or up also. Okay, moving on to number 2, I got the Pluties that were here in second place, so to speak. Please, for the record, name and address.
Stephen Kim Flutie, Flutie Inc., 1313 Road G, York.
Thanks, Steve.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Does everybody have this one in front of them? It would be number 5, I think, possibly. Go ahead, floor is yours, guys.
Okay, so our building out there, 6 miles west of York, was valued previously at 1.737 million. And it has been raised to 3.971 million. So it's a jump of 2.2 million, a little more, 129%. We're questioning the large jump in 1 year.